Florida.
Roll something.
All right. Number one.
Who does number one work for?
Number two. Number one works for number two.
No, they don't. And you're supposed to hit
What
a
are
button.
you nerding out about now?
you,
Because 789.
sir.
What are we talking about?
This is not bad dad joke time. That is wrong pass.
Yes, but why did 789?
Oh, I just no.
Because you're supposed to have 3 square meals a day.
Waka waka. Charles, your faux hawk is falling out.
Yeah, it is. Did I mention I bought a very expensive building this week? And I'm very excited about that.
What are you nerding out about?
Too late, kids. Shut it. Your dad
What
cannot
are
save you.
you nerding out about now?
Not just butt crack.
I saw. Well, I sure hope not. I saw your post about it.
Yeah, so cool. All right, now we're back on track. But I'm also learning about getting my hands on gear. We talked about it a little bit before the show started. I've got this nice camera now that makes me very happy. And I didn't go buy it. I had it in my repertoire, in my tool bag, if you will. I've got all kinds of different AV gear for different projects. And for some reason, I just let it sit in the case. I mean, when you use it for a project, you put it away safe somewhere. And I just never thought, put it in the studio. Once the studio got built, put it in the studio. So this is the second run out that I'm using it, and I'm very happy with it. It's very, very nice. It makes me feel very good. But that balances what I posted last night. So I went and did a gig at Park Tavern, and I took my big. I bought a screen for Dragon Con itself, like out of my pocket. I just went and bought for the Dragon Con party one of these collapsible 100-foot screens, right? Whatever it is. It's just because it's big. It's not 100 feet, but whatever it is,
Yeah.
The big screen. And I have this little, I think I paid maybe $70 with taxes, projector off Amazon for my backyard because I wanted to see what it would be like before I invested in a projector, which I know better, right? I have very high taste when it comes to AV, and I'm very specific about things because I used to work that field. So last night I went out there and I took my little projector, and there just wasn't enough room and I couldn't get it set. But you know what I did is because that's not a word. I can be okay with a projector, but it wasn't the full screen. It wasn't the brightest it could be. I left my laptop with the slides at home 30 miles away. And I had spent the day before making these amazing slides and ready to go on the laptop, and just not used to taking my backpack with me to go to Park Tavern, and just didn't take it, and didn't have an adapter. They had a Mac there because I made them on Canva so I could go and re-download them. Then they didn't have an adapter for the Mac. I had to come off of my phone, and I fortunately with the projector, because we use it to watch movies and TV out in the backyard, but we don't leave it there. So I break it down, have a little bag for it. I have a little Roku device. Fortunately, now I think it'll work better with a Mac, but that Roku device didn't support AirPlay, Apple AirPlay, for whatever reason. And so I tried on the little Mac first that they let me borrow. Off of my phone, there's a thing on Samsung called Smart View. It ain't great. It is nowhere. I'll be honest, it is nowhere near Apple AirPlay at all. But it worked. I was able to download the slides as photos and then do the Smart View, and it'd come up, and it will, with whatever the screen would fill of the projector, it automatically made it full screen. It looked decent enough. It just wasn't bright enough. I'm just not happy with it, but it worked. But it kept saying, oh, you have a rough connection. Didn't matter what internet I got onto. Didn't matter. I am 10 feet away from the Roku device, and I kept having to reset the connection, but I made it work. But I'm happy that I think you guys have heard me talk about Aperture Rent. That's another sponsor I would love for this show, because we've gone to them for Dragon Con until this year, pretty much every year that I've been running Dragon Con, because you can rent high-end gear like cameras and switchers and different things from them for very reasonable prices. And because I just knew I'm doing a big gig, I mean, it's going to be almost 2,000 people are going to be at this thing on Saturday. So I can't bring my backyard projector. Right. $61. Actually, I just over 70, I think, after taxes, or just under 70, to get a BenQ 3800 lumen professional grade projector for 7 days with insurance. And I did it for 7 days because I didn't want to have to rush and get it back because I'm doing the gig all day Saturday. And then Sunday, basically, I'm leaving to go to a conference and come back Wednesday. So I wanted time to return it. But yeah, $61. So I'm very excited to be able to find my camera and use it. And then to be able to get this projector, which, by the way, is only $400 brand new at Best Buy. I've already priced it out. So if I like it, then I can save my quarters, my allowance. I can save my allowance. I don't get an allowance. But I can save my dimes and buy it for the backyard. So it's always fun, right? To be able to test things out like that. But that's what I'm nerding out about. What are you guys nerding out about?
So for me, this past week was the finale of the Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime, the Prime Video. This second season was better than the first. Up until so for the casual viewer that hasn't read the book, I think that they will appreciate this season. I'll preface it that way. My issues with it stem from my having read the book and in ways that they drastically changed from the source material. For instance, one of the big bads, without too much big spoilers, one of the big bads does something to one of the main characters
they did something
that has a prolonged effect on that character, that it causes issues for the rest of the season or rest of the series. Instead of having one of the big bads do it like it happened in the book, one of his best friends does it to him. At least I assume that that's what this is going to be, because that's what it sure looked like, where it's going to cause him issues for the rest of the series. And I was like, no. I don't like, for some reason, they seem hellbent on making all of the main characters have some serious trauma and like huge issues. Like, they already had plenty of issues in the books. You don't need to throw more issues in their face. And so it's just, I don't know. They just, I guess they like to traumatize their characters even more than the books traumatize them.
Where do you think the story's going to go, changing it from the big bad to the best friend?
So obviously it's going to strain their relationship. But it's just, I don't know. There's just so many things that they change that, but I do think they're trying to course correct on some aspects in this season than they did in the first season. But yeah, we'll see. I'm along for the ride now at this point, just to see if they can pull it off. But yeah, it's not the worst adaptation I've seen, but it is far from the best.
All right. I've seen commercials for it, and honestly, some of the commercials are decent. Some of them don't even explain at all what you're looking at or why it's important.
Well, and I would love to hear from someone who has never read the books how confused they are, because I feel like people who haven't read the books are going to end up being super confused. Or maybe it's because I know what it's hinting at, that I'm like, oh, they're leaving out so much, but maybe casual, other people aren't as confused.
All right, Harry Potter lover, calm down. All right, what about you, Pappy? Have you been watching it?
I haven't, but it's on my list. And I've not read the books, because frankly, tackling a series like that is pretty daunting right now with the amount
books
of time
are huge.
Yeah. So I should go and watch it and let you know whether or not it works, at least from a casual standpoint, because I just don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of on my list. I mean, it looked interesting, but it's one of the shows that if I don't get my wife hooked or a kid, I'm not going to make the time for it right now. But I saw a commercial, some lady in a golden mask out in the courtyard. It's obviously some kind of big royal thing, and she's obviously in trouble, and they chop her nails off with a sword. And that was the commercial. And I was like, okay, maybe for the super geeks, the super fans rather of this, that might be like, oh, I gotta watch that. But for people like me who've never heard of it, it's like, okay, I get the atmosphere and the setting, but it just doesn't. That's not a commercial that's going to get me to watch.
See, they didn't even really mention the significance of that event, whereas in the book, they elaborate that the growing in their culture, the growing of the nails is kind of a pride and
That's
status
kind
thing.
of inferred.
Yeah, it is
from it,
inferred a little bit, but yeah,
but
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, and this series has so many moving pieces that I honestly think it's probably confusing for people that are like, okay, there's this group and this group and this group and this group. There's like 6 different groups, all with different agendas that are going on at the same time, and so yeah,
You just reminded me that Shadow and Bones getting a season 2.
it
Oh,
already
that's
got a
not true,
season
Iron
2.
Will.
It
Will
already
says
got a
nothing
season.
makes less. I know, but I mean, it's like hitting Netflix.
It hit Netflix months ago.
Don't make me turn this show around and go all the way back to Washington State, son. You better just sit back and relax. Nothing makes less sense in The Witcher season 2, says Iron Will, which is not true, sir. That is not true at all.
My wife loved the first season of Shadow and Bones, so she's read all 7 of the different books and the side books, and she still likes the show quite a bit.
Okay,
so there's that.
I forget she listens, so let me qualify why I give a very sarcastic answer that, because Joe knew what I meant. It occurred to him. It's like, you don't go read the books on a show you're watching because it's going to do what it did. Joe, you're pissed off about Wheel of Time. You know, that's why I say it's dumb. Dave Lot Media has joined over on Instagram. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
All right.
Dave's not here.
Dream Eater. VO by Kurt.
Yeah.
What is your nerds thing?
So this is gonna be a surprise to no one, but I am nerding out about the fact that we finally have some new MCU content.
Yeah.
Loki season 1 just started. Season 2 just started, and episode 2 is tonight. Which I'm watching as we speak. No, I'm just kidding.
No spoilers, man. No spoilers. Come on.
And then November 10th, Marvel's hits. So that'll be interesting to see. Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
excited.
Now, the upside to the Marvels, honestly, is Kamala Khan. Like she's going to be the best part of that. I thought Ms. Marvel as a TV show was awesome. And I'm hopeful for Monica Rambeau.
Yeah, so
hopeful.
I like we haven't gotten a whole lot of Monica Rambeau,
right?
But I like what I've seen so far, and so yeah, she definitely has potential. And as far as which of the characters I'm most excited about from the Marvels, it's definitely Monica Rambeau.
Yeah, I understand that.
What's her superhero name? Spectrum?
Photon.
Photon?
Okay. She's been known as Spectrum, Captain Marvel, Photon. So I think they're going with Photon because they gave her that call sign.
Okay.
So they're probably going to go with Photon, and then so there's no confusion. There's already going to be confusion: Miss Marvel versus Captain Marvel.
If you watched Miss Marvel, I don't think there will be.
No, I'm talking about mainly casuals.
Okay,
just like why is she called Captain and this one's called Ms.? It's like, okay, just watch the show.
Well, because she's not old enough to be a captain, sir.
Right,
she's obviously a teenager, dummy.
But really,
because she's just a fangirl.
Kamala Khan as a character, like they captured the teenager aspect of things really well with her character, and throwing her into this whole superhero thing and making her a mutant was very, very interesting. So
Dave over on Instagram says, I forgot I need to watch episode 2 tonight. I have to watch it tomorrow. And check out, let me tell you, Flickr Effect. They've gone back to putting out podcasts, and I'm digging it. I'm listening, and that's Dave and Michelle's show, along with their friend who doesn't come to Dragon Con, so I don't bother to learn their name. And Iron Will's referring to the season 2 of The Witcher, says they Instagram filtered series so bad with all that makeup, like she didn't just come out of a swamp. I don't remember that part, to be honest, but I think in general, I mean, The Witcher series is slightly confusing, and that whole first season is, they don't tell you it's a bunch of time jumps.
So I couldn't follow, like literally, I wasn't familiar. I didn't play the game, and I wasn't familiar with the books.
I barely played it.
And so when I started trying to watch season 1, because I went, but this sounds like it's gonna be right up my alley. I like got 2-3 episodes in. I went, I have no idea what's happening right now, so I'm tapping out, and I'll attack it.
All right.
I'll attack it again at some other point, and I just haven't gotten back to it.
Well, I kind of wonder if it's even worth it based on the fact that,
Yeah.
well, he's leaving because of, I mean, it's kind of cliche, but basically because of creative differences, because they're not being faithful to the
Right. That was the interesting part, right?
Because they made the best friend hurt Siri, and that's not what happened in the book. It's the big bad that did it.
Okay.
Yeah, nice callback, Charles.
Thank you. Because Joe was just on his high horse about how they change things in a book. He's like, oh, creative differences. No, he's mad because they're going over the source material, apparently.
Can I pull a tangent?
Always.
Can you not?
Well, no, that's true. I can't. I can't not. So, Joe, have you seen the live action One Piece?
I have not, but I haven't watched.
I've
only watched like a dozen episodes of One Piece in general. So
I've not watched any of the anime or read any of the manga.
Same.
And I find that show just crazy, wacky fun.
Okay.
It's nutty. Like you're watching it going, what is going, like, why are we dealing like with King of the Pirates stuff going on? What's going on? And just, it's fun. And the guy they've got as the main character is just goofy, and he's great. So
let me tell you something about him. There was a show. It was made in the UK or somewhere. I think it was made in the UK. It was called The Misfits, and it's essentially about people getting some powers and how it just is so different.
Good. So
and
good.
The big bad, well, what you think is the big bad, that dude's so quirky. The werewolf is the lead of One Piece. So the kid who played the werewolf in the Misfits, that's One Piece. That's the lead of One Piece.
Really?
Is it? Yeah, it's starting to click in your brain a little bit, isn't it?
I got to go back and watch it again now.
You know what? Just IMDb it real quick.
Yeah, no, that's okay, because I want to go back and watch Misfits. Any excuse, because it's so good. And look, we got introduced to Ramsey Bolton as
no, I messed up. Not the Misfits. I'm sorry. That was a great show. Not the Misfits.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh
man, I'm gonna have to look. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up. But it's on Netflix. I'll look it up in just a second while we go on to the next thing. But it's a more modern thing. But there was a werewolf. There was a siren. Basically, it's like modern take on
the
classic
Imperfects
monsters. Imperfects. Thank you, Joseph _Ard. It's the Imperfects. Sorry, and dude. Okay, go watch that. You're loving, and the big bad there is so quirky. I just saw him on TikTok. Like there's a clip of the show of him doing his thing. He's just so quirky and good. Yeah. Thank you, Joe, for
that is the
looking
same
up.
guy.
But yeah, sorry, I did misstate. Man, I thought we had a connection. We do have a scale now, though, Kurt. We can say on a scale from Andor to The Witcher, because now we know where our opposite points are. Because you loved Andor, and I was like, I just can't get it. It's not. And The Witcher, I loved The Witcher, and you're like, yeah, no, it's just all over the place. So now we have our Parabellum scale. So
yeah.
Speaking of Parabellum, I did watch the 3-episode series of The Continental on Max.
How was it?
It's not what I thought it was going to be, but we enjoyed it.
Okay.
Is that the new one with Mel Gibson?
Yes. And I guess I was hoping, maybe not thinking, maybe I was hoping it'd be more of a Monster of the Week kind of thing, where this assassin checks in and you follow them and what they're doing, and they come back. It's not as the tale of how Winston comes into the picture. Winston being the mentor and guide of the hotel for Keanu Reeves' character, John Wick.
Oh, is it? It's connected to John Wick? I didn't even know that.
The Continental is the hotel in John Wick, and this is set 30 years before, I think.
I've never seen John Wick.
I'm not shocked at all, right?
It's so good. It's so good.
But it's
It's
not going
just
to be Joe's thing. He likes to
no,
pretend
no.
that
I
he
get
doesn't
that.
like
I
it
get
when
that.
it's
It's
silent.
but it is kind of mindless fun.
Very much so. Very much so.